Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of eXhuming the X-Files here on the Outpost Unknown YouTube channel. This is the show on YouTube that you gotta go to if you want to listen to everything X-Files. We are working our way through all 200-ish episodes of the show. My name is Matthew, joined once again by Jeremy.
Yeah, we're doing this again, guys. Woohoo!
This is actually episode 89. I mean, it's wild to think that we've already gone through that many episodes. Yeah, we're here. Hit that like and subscribe. If I do appreciate all the people who have been leaving comments on our videos. We had another recent commenter who's going through our first season. So whoever that was that just found us, thank you for the comments. Keep them coming. We appreciate them. So, Jeremy, we're gonna talk Kaddish, directed by Kim Manners, written by Howard Gordon. X-Files is delving into some religious stuff here. How are you feeling going into this episode?
Well, I mean, just like the last few, really dreading that it's just going to be more of the same kind of dog water season episodes. And so I just hit play. I crossed my fingers, and to be honest with you, I was kind of surprised. Just a little bit.
Yeah,
A little
yeah. I
bit.
think we'll talk about this as we go, but not. I guess not to bury lead, but I was very iffy on this one, and then about halfway through this episode, I was like, I think this is actually kind of good. So, but
Right?
we'll talk about it.
It
Uh,
blew me away,
Yeah.
too.
I was just nah, but we'll talk about it. So
All right.
let's discuss what happens in the prologue here.
All right. It starts with a Hasidic Jewish funeral, a hole surrounded by all those guys with those really curly sideburns just sticking out of their hats.
Yeah.
And it centers over this just very bare bones casket. It's just a pine box, no bling to it at all. And I thought, did they just run out of money? They didn't want to have a fancy casket in there. It's like, no, I actually looked it up. And Orthodox Jews get buried in non-flashy coffins. They just don't want to like be known as different from anybody else that's getting buried.
Oh, interesting.
So they are all doing their praying thing, and then they get to the part where everybody takes a handful of dirt and hucks it on the coffin and leaves. And uh, the it's kind of the camera is panning around. It's kind of centering on this one woman who looks younger and more sorry than everybody else is. Um, as it zooms into her, she starts having this flashback about whoever's in the casket getting like robbed at a convenience store or grocery store or something. Like dollar store Jean Claude Van Damme just puts him on his knees and just blasts him while the other two guys just go about whatever they're doing. She finally drops her fistful of dirt. Everybody kind of awkwardly watches her leave the casket. And then later that night, Bruce Willis from Unbreakable goes back out to the gravesite, makes a giant mud man out of the grave dirt, and as he walks away, the mud man that he made kind of like a sandcastle dude laying on his back starts breathing.
It's a
It's
cool
kind of
opener. It's a pretty cool opener. There's one shot in this that I was just kind of blown away by. It's when they're walking away from the cemetery and the camera kind of pans up to that tree. It's kind of moving and it goes from because it's like daylight when the cemetery or the funeral is occurring, but then it transitions that tree to night and it starts raining. They did a really good job on that transition. I was like, wow, that actually looked really really cool. And yeah, the Mudman sort of just breathing, intriguing. I liked it.
it was all right. I didn't, it's season 4. I'm not fixing to hold my breath. I'm like, all right, this could be okay.
I'm looking for anything at this point.
Right.
If a breathing Mudman is getting me excited, so we'll
All right, so we go to cut to Spooky. He's got a hold of the case file and he's talking to Scully about it. And right off the rip, he's not making jokes about a Jewish guy having died. So I wrote, it was like, all right, well, Spooky ain't making jokes, so this is going to be a serious episode.
yeah.
And then they mentioned that the kids, like, well, the guy, whoever, Dollar Store Jean Claude Van Damme and his friends, were 16. Like, they immediately know who these kids are that killed this Hasidic Jewish fella. So I don't understand why the FBI is involved at that point, like, at all.
Well, I thought they were kind of involved for the X file component to it because didn't the like one of those kids was strangled, right? Or he was hung, right? Did he
Oh,
die?
right,
And they're like, "Well, the dead man's fingerprints is on him. How is that possible?"
right. But what bothered, I guess what I clung to is that they were saying these kids were 16 and they were like 32.
Oh yeah, they're very very old.
But all right. And then I wrote, wait, there's a joke about Casper leaving fingerprints, so maybe a less serious episode than I was expecting. They go to the wife to ask if they can or exhume the body, and like there's just this mad Jewish guy that they haven't really
No.
addressed or introduced it. Yeah, he's just pissed, like, no, you don't do this. The cops don't believe in the Jews, and we take care of our own. And he's just stomping around being mad,
Yeah.
while the wife is being 100% cooperative, which was such
Yeah. And then
a weird.
she's like, "Do what you need to do. Just leave us in peace." Because Scully breaks out the like, "Look, we're just asking you, but we could just get the warrant and do it without your blessing. So you might as well just say, yeah, you can do it to give us, some peace of mind."
And on their way out, they hand them this little this anti-Jewish flyer. Like, they keep spreading this hate, and
Yeah.
it's just this generic, like, Nazi, anti-Jewish. Do you understand what's wrong with your local Jews, sort of thing?
Yeah. Doesn't it say something like, oh, that it will probably get blocked on YouTube for even mentioning this, but it says something like Jewish people have created AIDS or something like the
Yeah,
pamphlet that's going around.
it's just hate. It's hate
Yeah.
paraphernalia, and so they go to the first print shop. The print shops that are like the Kinkos that made all of the photocopies for this hate material aren't watermarking the place. But the first thing to go is the guy that printed these, and they don't know that, but he just immediately starts in with the hate, the
Yeah.
hate against the Jewish people. And you can see that two of the surviving kids are like sitting in his back room watching the FBI on his camera monitors while he's just spewing clear hatred.
Oh, yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
oh, come on.
Mulder
Mm.
makes that funny joke though. I actually thought it was I laughed where he mentions like, oh yeah, there's the guy came back from the dead or whatever, and the Nazi guy is like, well, is that just another Jewish trick or something? And Mulder's like, well, it happened 2,000 years ago, didn't it?
Oh,
I
yeah.
knew one guy who did
Yeah.
it 2,000 years ago, which I thought was kind of funny.
Sick burn on that guy, by the way. Because oh yeah. Anyway,
They cast him well too, because he just looks like a Nazi before he even opens his mouth. When they just walk up to him, just the look on his face, like, okay, that guy's a Nazi.
yeah, but and so he kind of tells them off. They leave, and he goes into the back to find these teens who are listening in on this conversation, because they just immediately believe that the Jewish fellow, like, that he's still alive.
Yeah,
Somehow that got communicated in that conversation. So they go to dig up his body. And as they're digging it up, like, one kid goes over to the car to get something out of the trunk, and he gets jumped by something.
yeah. You don't really see it at this
You,
point.
you, you see the tattoo on the back of the hand,
Yeah,
basically. And then for some reason, he doesn't jump both of them. Like, it was real convenient that both of those kids were distracted and right there. And by kids, I mean, nearing middle-aged men. Um, were there. They were distracted. There was an open grave, but he only gets one of them.
yeah,
And the other one is down, like, in the grave hole, like opening up the coffin and almost like retching because There is a dead body in there.
Yeah,
It's not the guy running around.
and it is rotting.
Yeah. Yeah, because they didn't they say later they didn't embalm him. I was wondering why. Why did he just get buried like yesterday and he's already in advanced decomposition, but they just, that one-liner explain it to the audience because they're idiots. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it's a Hasidic Jew sort of thing. Maybe they don't believe in embalming bodies. I don't know.
It's something to do with them coming back to life potentially.
Okay.
I waded kind of out into the weeds halfway through the episode to like I wanted to see because it was one of those things. These are one of those episodes that X Files throws up every once in a while that maybe is trying to make a message on behalf of a certain people or peoples or ethnic group or something like that. And I feel that by and large they try to like be kind towards whatever group they're sending that message out from, not like overly racist and stuff like that. It doesn't always fall on its face, but as soon as I started hearing like Nagila Hapa mix in with the X Files theme music early on, like I hate seeing that shit.
Yeah.
It's
It's so
just so goofy.
it's always a little weird because whenever we get these indigenous peoples episodes or anything, you're just kind of like, how on the spectrum of you know like you said, I agree with you, they're not intending to be racist or anything like that, but it's like on the spectrum, like how far did the writer not realize what they were doing by just delving into stereotypes and stuff? Like, it might have had a good intention, so
Mhm.
you're just kind of like, you watch some of these episodes of the X Files, you're kind of like just waiting for the cringe moment where you're like, oh no, that didn't hold up after 30 years or something like that.
It was because I thought we were going to venture in that area that I started. My wife is a biblical scholar, so I started asking her questions, and she put me onto some reading material. And it's like they went through quite a bit of trouble to not be insensitive about a lot of things that they expressed. Like a lot of things that they talked about were accurate. How they represented people was accurate, and I'm like, all right, somebody went through a lot of trouble to do this.
Mm.
So
And
that
in the fun facts section of the show, you'll know why that is.
all right.
That's a tease.
So yeah, the the kid in the hole finds that his friend had died and he was half buried in the mud. And then like all of a sudden the cops and the FBI show up out in this graveyard in the middle of the night. Like who called this in?
I would imagine like the kid called it in, like his friend is dead. You wouldn't just leave, not tell anybody your friend's dead out there, would you?
If the cops are trying to find you in conjunction with a murder?
Nah, that's true. Yeah, I guess wasn't thinking that angle. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
But they were there.
Voodoo.
Yeah. That's insensitive,
Sorry.
Matt.
I
So
apologize.
Mulder and Scully like hops down in the hole because Mulder decides to start fucking with the corpse inside of the coffin. And he ends up like finding a book behind his head. Now, I know I've been to a few funerals. Like you find some people will put a bottle of their favorite booze inside of there, maybe like a picture of a family album. Things that are personal to that person that you feel that they would want to be buried with. And I would feel fucking super weird. I don't even care as an investigator. I would feel super weird getting into somebody's coffin and just messing around with that stuff. But he does not hesitate and just immediately grabs this book that the body's head is lying on,
Yeah.
looks at it for a second, and then it just combusts. It bursts into flames, which was, kind of weird. They
It's
look
a
at the book.
it's a
Go
book on
ahead.
Jewish mysticism, by the way, because I was just kind of looking up. It's called the Sefer Yetzirah. It's a work of Jewish mysticism. Early commentaries, such as the Kuzari, treated it as a treatise on mathematical and linguistic theory, as opposed to one about Kabbalah. So there you go.
Well, I mean, they're grasping at straws, so they investigate this one book, and it just so happens that it has the name of the father of the guy that was laying in the coffin on it.
Yep.
You know, he was
Jacob.
buried with it. He was buried. Yeah, Jakob buried it with him. Okay, but we do lose straw or thin ice, loose straw, whatever you call that. Um, loo- thin threads,
Loose
whatever you need,
threads.
loose threads. That's it. Whatever to grab onto in order to move the plot along. In the meantime, Van Damme goes back to the book guy or the printing guy for his money. And the printing guy is all mad. He's like, "You weren't supposed to murder that guy. I just wanted you to scare him." And it gets into this whole conversation about, you don't hate enough. Your hate isn't real enough, but mine is because
Yeah, he's willing
whatever.
to go. He's willing to go all the way, and the copy store guy is just, hey man, I'm one of those like keyboard rage hater warrior guys. I don't actually want to pull the trigger on anybody. I just want to like spout the hate.
They find, through having this really weird conversation about the book with a Jewish fella that knows a lot about books. He's like, "No, there's nothing about the ink. It's just a normal book. No, they don't just randomly combust into flames." And then the name on it pointed them at Jacob. So they go to visit the wife again. You find out it wasn't actually the guy's wife that had died, but they were getting married like that day.
Yeah.
And he goes and she goes and like finds this ring, and it has this fantastic story about what the ring represents. It's this giant like 2-inch tall metal castle on a ring. And I love the story, and I'm like, that is the worst wedding ring I've ever seen. But but there's a story behind it, and what made me laugh is while she was talking about it, Jakob was in a concentration camp at the age of 10, and because his hands were small enough, they actually used him to make bullets because they needed kids with small hands in order to do that. So he protected this ring, which was like the last thing of his family that he had. And I just started laughing because it's like, this is a great place to enter that Christopher Walken speech about hiding an uncomfortable hunk of metal up his ass.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, they go to the synagogue to look for the dad or Jacob. And it's funny because they walk into the room or into the synagogue while all these Hasidic Jews are praying. And immediately, like, Scully takes one quick look around and just has this look of exhaustion and exasperation. Like, I'm never going to be able to find this one Jew in all of these other Jewish fellas.
Are you saying that Scully looked at all of these Jews and thought to herself, they all look the
They
same?
all look the same. You should
Is that
go
what you're
back,
saying?
look at that scene. Like, she comes in and she's just immediately defeated. But thankfully, one of them like leaves their little prayer group and starts running. Well, quickly walking away. So they make their way through the crowd, and they have like the slowest foot chase in X Files history
Yeah.
ever. It ends up in an attic where they find this kid like or swinging from the ceiling,
Yeah.
and
Very
so
quickly, like, because when I first saw it, I was like, what, how did this guy suddenly just get hanged?
he's been there the whole time. Like the whole time they were downstairs praying, this kid was just dangling. And it was Van Damme too, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
And we don't even get to the satisfaction of seeing this kid get gacked. I'm like, okay. In 480p, there was a lot of confusion in the dark. Like Scully and Mulder were just walking along, and all of a sudden they both fall to the ground.
Well, somebody
And
knocks him over.
I didn't. They just fall over on my screen, and then Scully takes a wild shot at the ceiling, and Jacob gives up.
Yeah. By the way, I'm just going to point out in this episode and upcoming episodes, Scully uses that gun a lot. She's
Well, she
shooting all the
seems
time.
like she was a terrible shot with it. Yeah. You know what? You're right because she plugs that dude in the leg
Yep.
instead of shooting him in the head. That bothered me. And I wrote, oh, we'll get to that, Scully. So, spoiler alert. So, they they arrest Jacob. Um, Mulder thinks that there's somebody else there, but he doesn't express it or turn on the lights and look for anybody else in the attic. But the whatever the sun ghost thing, whatever's killing these murders or doing these murders, are is there in the attic with. And so they take him down to the jail. They're gonna interrogate him. They have him in one of those two-way mirror interrogation rooms. He confesses to everything. Jacob's daughter Carmen Sandiego shows up, and she's not a good actress.
No, she's real bad. I made a note of that. I was like, wow, this is a really bad performance. I don't buy it at all.
um
I'm sure David Duchovny was sleeping with her or something since he get her on the show. She's my latest
i
conquest.
I mean, it is kind of his type,
Yeah, it
dark hair,
is.
not super pretty but not completely unfuckable. Yeah, that's what do you do. But
Poor actor. He goes for actors who are clearly worse than him. That's one of his types.
really,
Oh yeah.
did he ever like have a brief 1 week long fling with an actress that was just ran circles around him?
I don't think so.
Okay, his ego just wouldn't put up with it. So he Mulder's yelling at Jacob. He's like because Mulder wants the truth, and while the father's like it was me the whole time. And Scully believes him because they find out his backstory is like he was a Israeli terrorist, um, and so that he was a killer. This is not out of the ordinary. Um, then it's this weird scene where they're like, "All right, he wants to see his daughter." They let the daughter in, and she goes into the interrogation room. And apparently, because they didn't have enough chairs, she just sits in his lap.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? They were
No.
they were close.
I knew they were close, but I guess I didn't notice her sit on his lap. I was more like think because Mulder and Scully's behind the two-way mirror, and Mulder always does this stuff in all these episodes. When he leaves Scully always asks, "Where are you going? What are you doing?" And he gives some sort of cryptic one-liner and doesn't actually tell her what he's doing. So he's like, "I'm off to see somebody about a burning book," or something, like some weird thing. And he's like, Watch this. This is going to be interesting, right? They're going to say something." And I was more confused as to like, why is this girl just why are they just openly talking about all this? They know it's a two-way mirror, right? They gotta assume somebody's behind there watching them have this conversation. So he didn't have the conversation. He wouldn't tell Mulder shit, but as soon as Mulder leaves, he tells his daughter everything in front of the two-way mirror. It that bothered me.
I, you know how it goes, though. We need dialogue. We need exposition. We need
Yep.
to know what is going on in their heads because we just, as an audience, we need it spoon fed to us. So that's what we got.
Yep.
We get back to the print shop, having never mentioned a golem or had any evidence to suggest a golem. Mulder picks Gollum out of thin air, and that book writing word truth on the Gollum's hand makes that he was talking to the book expert from earlier,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Yeah, you just make a mud man and write the word truth in a whatever language that was,
This is where
and
I
it
got on
make,
board. When the golem appeared, or when the golem was a thing, this is when I got back on board the episode. I was like, "Oh, okay, golem, we got a monster going on here." Okay, now the breathing mud man makes much more sense.
but how did Mulder come to that bit?
It doesn't matter. He
It
may he,
doesn't matter.
he's got leaps of logic. He does that every episode. he
This one
just
was a big one. We just went like we haven't talked about nobody said anything about a golem.
right.
And then all of a sudden like 85% of the episode's done. It's golem time.
Well, at a certain point, I don't think he jumps to that conclusion because at a certain point they watch video camera footage of the dead guy who's standing there, and Scully's like, "Oh my god, like is he alive?" And then that's when Mulder makes the connection. He's like, "I don't think so," and then he's like, "Gollum."
Yep.
So that's how he gets it in his mind.
And yeah. But I remember seeing that videotape because I put a note in there. It's like because they had that video recording was so bad, and we had not seen the guy that died's face
Oh
so
yeah,
much in this episode that they had to put Scully saying, "Oh my god, it's him!"
yeah,
Oh, it's just some dude.
yeah. Yeah, and on the video so poor, Scully probably should have said that looks like everybody else that I was looking at
Yeah,
in these
yeah.
synagogues because they don't like do a nice close up of the face or anything where you see it's
No,
like a zombie or
it's
something
like a
like that.
high shot too, above his forehead, kind of looking down at
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
But
Gollum.
because we go, um, we find, we find we find out that the golem was made with love.
Yeah,
So they went to
love
Ariel's
Gollum.
in order to find yeah, love mud. Wa- Watch out for those UTIs though, Ariel. Really? So they go to Ariel's and they find that she's not at the apartment, though her door is unlocked. So they just walk in and they find that that awful ring that she was telling the story about earlier is missing. So they need to go track down Ariel before she gets married to the mud golem. So they go to the church, just a church too, because it isn't the same church that they were praying in earlier. Like it's a classic. It's got pews. It's got the candle. Like it's a Catholic church.
Yeah,
And they show up. Well, no, we get to the church earlier. Ariel is there. Her dad shows up and he's like, don't do what you're thinking. He's not him. You're not in love, Moyle." And like he realizes as he's hugging his daughter that she's crazy pussy because it seems like she's gonna go through with it anyway.
yeah. Gotta get
And
that
then
mud dick.
you, they show up, or the FBI shows up to find that Jacob has been hung for some reason, been hung by the golem, the same way that the other kid does, and they're using like thick gauge rope. Like I've used this rope for things before. Normally you'll see it like at a zoo where half of it is sitting in a lion's cage and the other half of it is outside the cage, and they just have people like see 8 grown ass men getting out pulled by a lion. This is thick rope. Mulder the Boy Scout that he is has a pocket knife big enough and sharp enough to cut through
Yeah,
this huge rope. Cuts
Scully's trying
down.
to hold him up by the legs.
She was doing a bad job. She was yanking up on like the cuffs of his
Do better, Jillian. Come on.
pants. She wasn't getting under the. I think she has a feet problem. She doesn't want feet on her. She wasn't going to do it.
Fair.
I'll have to look that up. They cut the rope down. He goes to the attic. He sees Ariel. He sees the mud man in the dark, and he's like, "Stop, or I'll fire!" And then doesn't even hesitate. Just starts putting bullets into Isaac, but it doesn't stop him.
Nope. He's a
So
mud man.
Mulder gets punched. He gets thrown. It almost looks like he's about to get killed. But then Ariel shows up with that uncomfortable hunk of metal and stops him. And they get to each other. They like start touching each other's hands. The golem, and this scene is what did it for me for this whole episode, because it was really like sweet, because it wasn't like overacted or anything like that. They were just quiet. they kind of like the Gollum puts the ring on her finger and they kneel down in front of each other, and there's like a lot of love. There's no dialogue, and then she rubs like part of the tattoo off of his hand, essentially killing him.
Yeah.
But knowing that's what's happening, and it was like this was handled really really beautifully, and it made everything in this episode, even the whack shit, worth it. I really liked how this episode ended.
Yeah. This was a, like I said, when at the beginning, as about halfway through this episode, I'm just like, oh God, like, what are we doing here? And then once the Gollum stuff came into it, I agree. I think it ended really well. I think it was just sort of like, I mean, clearly Ariel got a lot of people killed in her quest to bring back her love Gollum. But just the way that it was just, it all sort of came together in a really nice way. And I ended up really enjoying this episode, whereas the first 30 minutes, I thought this was going to be another
Another stinker, but no,
crap season 4. But yeah, it was good. It was good. So, would you like to know some fun facts
I
about the Gollum?
would. Why don't you tell us?
All right. Kaddish was written by producer Howard Gordon, directed by Kim Manners, and dedicated to the memory of Lillian Katz, Gordon's grandmother. Gordon was inspired to write the episode based on his heritage. He noted, quote, "I was always compelled by the Gollum mythology. We had never dealt with the horrors of anti-Semitism and the power of the word, and because I'm Jewish, it was something that was really compelling to me personally," unquote. The idea to create a story centering on a golem, however, had been proposed several times before by, quote, "probably every Jewish writer who's passed through," unquote, according to Gordon. However, Gordon's unique take on the story, complete with an emotional basis, began to develop after he attended a wedding of two of his friends. During the ceremony, the officiating rabbi, who was a survivor of the Holocaust, used a real Jewish relic, the communal ring that was eventually featured in the episode. The ring
Wow.
inspired Gordon to pen, quote, "Romeo and Juliet like story that revolved around the power of love and the powerful desire to bring back loved ones from the dead. As such, the episode's title is a reference to the Jewish morning prayer service." Now, many fans on the internet were hoping that the episode would reveal whether or not Mulder is Jewish. In the episode, however, Mulder's unable to identify a Jewish book, states that he does not know Hebrew, and quips that Jesus returned from the dead. When asked whether or not Mulder is Jewish, Gordon said he did not think that he is, nor did he think he is even half Jewish. And none of the synagogues in the greater Vancouver area were willing to let the production crew use their space. So the scenes in the synagogue were actually filmed at Shaughnessy Heights United Church. The church was chosen because its Gothic interior and stained glass windows resembled many New York synagogues. The church was booked for 2 weeks so that the entire interior could be redecorated to look like a legitimate Jewish temple. This included redesigning the pews, carpet, and light fixtures, as well as crafting a Jewish altar. So, those are some fun facts about this episode taken from Wikipedia, bastion of all human knowledge. Um, yeah, any final thoughts on Kaddish?
It took a long time in this season. It felt like a long trek to finally get something that was genuinely worth watching. And I feel great that we're finally.
Yeah, it took the episode 15. but uh, but yeah, I agree. Go check out this episode, folks. Like I said, it's kind of like you're gonna have to sit with it for a little while. A little bit of a slow burn, but it's got a really cool payoff, and definitely makes the kind of slow build worth it at the very end. So next week we are going to talk about episode 16, Unrequited. So hit that like and subscribe. Come back next Friday, Outpost Unknown, for more Exhuming the X-Files. We'll see you then, everybody.